Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Just me for right now, but don't worry, Lextron is coming. Oh, let's see. I cannot wait for this chapter either, Patrick. It's been hard for me not to read ahead. I've been getting really invested into all the young dudes now. And yes, I agree, Dan. It has been a quite somber day if you've been reading the news. And definitely prayers out to Ukraine. I know we do have some viewers from the Ukraine, so if you are watching this, I hope you are safe and doing well. But yeah, all right. Oh, one sec. Be right back. Bailey's barking at something. All right. Oh, now we're getting some people in here. Hi, Joey. We are doing well. How are you doing? I heard about the documentary you're in. That is exciting. I'm good, Dennis. How are you? If you're just joining us, Lextron will be with us in a minute. She's just taking care of a few things. Not just me tonight. She just said a couple seconds, so don't have to worry. I won't be reading all the young dudes tonight. Um, we're gonna be reading some chapters of all the young dudes, and then we're going to finish our discussion on the Wizard of Earthsea with Noel. Oh, it's already out? Dang, we'll have to check it out. Hello, hello. Man, everyone's here tonight. All right, this is going to be a good stream. The book title, Wizard of Earthsea, right? I wonder what it's about. It turned out to be a much better book than I thought it was at first, so I'm pleasantly surprised with this book. If anyone's looking for a quick read, page turner. We do plan on reading 2 chapters today. Yeah, I was saying when the stream started, like I'm pretty invested in all the young dudes now. I'm totally for it. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome.
You see, when you all entered this live stream, I knew you were all really just waiting for magical me.
Yes. Yes, that's it.
That was good. Come on. That was awesome. That was great.
Fashionably late.
I am never late nor early. I arrive precisely when I mean to.
Okay, Gandalf.
Yes, we're going to read 2 chapters of all the young dudes, hopefully, if I can get my butt in gear and get reading.
Yep. Since it started a little late, I think we can skip the recap. We can jump right in. That way we can get through.
Exactly when I mean to. That's right. And just to say it in person, congratulations, Joey Rue. Really. That's awesome. I saw that it went live. I want to watch it. I'm very excited for you. Very awesome.
Do you have...
do you want me to just start? I could just start.
Oh.
I do. I have it.
Jump. Yeah, Patrick's saying jump.
Jump. Might as well jump.
But yeah.
I think of those frogs from Sing. Every time I hear that song now.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
I always think of the frogs. Every time.
Yeah, we want to get through 2 chapters.
Yeah,
I'm told that we need to get through 2 chapters. Apparently something very exciting is going to happen. I don't know. Maybe
Yep, okay.
Maybe this is the time. Maybe Lupin's going to come out to Sirius.
I just want to make sure I had the right one.
Okay.
Maybe Doda and Bobans will finally cuddle.
Maybe. Let's find out.
Do I gotta read the lyrics?
Yes.
Well,
you gotta sing them.
I don't know the song. I don't know how it goes.
Just make up a melody.
Oh, geez. Okay. Chapter 85. 5th year. Dung bombs and broom cupboards.
I really like this chapter.
You really want me to just, like, make some shit up? She's like a live bombshell, like a flash out of hell. And when she's shaking her, oh, everyone fell at her feet. And that's neat. And she took me completely by surprise with the ultrasonic eyes. They were flashing like hysterical danger signs. They said, beware where you tread or you'll go out your head. Look out! She's a hellraiser, star chaser, trailblazer, natural born raver. Yeah, 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 yeah. She's a hellraiser, star blazer, trailblazer, natural born raver. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look out!
Oh! That was actually really good. That was so much better than I expected. That was awesome.
Okay.
That was great. I love that. I'm so glad you did that.
Yeah, whoever wrote the song, I'm sorry. It's totally not right.
No. Whoever wrote the song, they need to change it because that's the way it should be.
We'll see if this was like a Disney song, I could nail it. But it's not. So someday we'll get to sing a Disney song and it'll be great. I'm just saying.
Yeah. When Disney will buy out Harry Potter sooner or later.
Eventually. And then they'll do it and it'll be better than the movies.
Harry and Iron Man teaming up with the man.
Expelliarmus.
Okay. So the chapter.
Okay. Monday, 23rd of February, 1976. It was a simple enough prank to begin with. Good old-fashioned dug bombs. But Sirius's high spirits at the prospect of all 4 Marauders working together again meant that the idea kept growing and expanding until it somehow involved 400 dung bombs, a timing delay spell, and all 4 of them out of bed after curfew. They'd put it off long enough. Even if Remus agreed to forego his homework for an evening, they had to gather the materials. He didn't ask where they got their hands on 400 dung bombs. Best not to know. And then to contend with Quidditch practice and the prefect patrol rota. Then there was a full moon. All told, the first night of all of them being available ended up being at the end of February. Been a while, James grinned as he disappeared under the cloak. Peter's ability to turn into a rat was incredibly useful, especially when he could shrink down and rest on James's shoulder under the invisibility cloak. That's so sad and awful.
Yeah, that kind of is.
Unfortunately, tall as they all were now, 3 was still too many to properly fit. You 2 use the cloak, Remus sighed, pulling it off after trying to squat low enough so that it didn't show their ankles. I'll just flash my prefect pin if anyone asks what I'm doing. Takes all the fun out of it, though, Sirius complained, slightly muffled under the fabric. I'm sure you'll find a way to still have fun, Remus said. Come on, then. They left the dorm room and made their way down the stairs to leave Gryffindor Tower. Remus had to walk slowly so that others could keep up, but he was anxious to get it over with. It was a good idea and everything, but it was going to take most of the night if they wanted all their bases covered, and he had an early start on Tuesday. "Hiya, Remus!" No sooner had they turned a corner than they'd bumped into Christopher. This was getting ridiculous. Everywhere he turned, if Snape wasn't watching him, then Christopher was. Remus steeled himself and smiled broadly, deeply conscious that the three Marauders stood just behind him, invisible. "Hi, Christopher. How's it doing? How's it going?" "Not bad," the delighted boy chirped back. "I was just going to the common room. Fancy a game of chess?" Sorry, I'm on patrol." Remus tapped his metal badge. "Oh, right. Where's Lily, then?" "In the loo," he said quickly. "I'm just waiting for her." "I'll wait with you." Christopher grinned. Remus fought the urge to slap his forehead in disbelief. No," he laughed, trying to keep his tone friendly. "No, you go off to the common room. It's nearly curfew. I don't want to have to give you detention." "Oh, okay then," Christopher nodded. Remus only ever disappointed him. "See you later, maybe. I forgot to say, I'm excited about your party." "My what?" There was a low groan of annoyance just behind Remus. Fortunately, Christopher didn't seem to hear it. "Your birthday party! I can't wait! I couldn't come to Sirius Black's party in November. I had a potions essay due, but this year I'll be sure to get everything out of the way first." "Terrific," Remus replied, giving him a thumbs up. "Just go away, for God's sake." "See you there, then." Christopher bounced off, quite happily. Remus smirked and turned to the invisible boys over his shoulder. "My party, eh?" "It was supposed to be a surprise," James whispered. "Who is that little git, anyway?" Sirius asked. "Leave him alone," Remus tutted. "He's just friendly." "Such a benevolent professor," James laughed. "He'll be bringing you apples next." "Well, one of you should tell him I prefer chocolate, then," Remus replied breezily as they made their way further down the hallway. They distributed the dung bombs as quickly as they could, and Remus performed the timing delay incantation, something he'd been playing around with for a while. The key was making sure the dung bombs were scattered equally throughout the castle in order to cause maximum chaos. "I've spaced the times out at hourly intervals," Remus explained quietly. "I reckon it should take Filch about an hour to clear away the first lot, so as soon as he's finished the second, we'll go off, then the third." "We'll never make fun of you again, Moony," Sirius promised. "You bloody legend." "Yeah, well, as long as no one knows it was me," he laughed. "I've got my reputation to think of." "Oh, yeah, can't have little Christopher finding out his hero is a bad boy, can we?" Remus elbowed him sharply in the side. "Hurry up," Peter, now human, said, wringing his hands. "I promised I'd try to say goodnight to Desi before curfew. Can we do the Ravenclaw floor next?" "Ah, young love," James chuckled, "giving your girlfriend a goodnight kiss as your friends booby-trap her exit points." "She thinks it's funny," Peter shrugged, slightly pink. "Oh, Pete, how far have you got with Desdemona anyway?" Sirius asked brusquely. Peter blinked wildly a few times. He was not used to being so addressed by Sirius, who had lately been asking him all sorts of questions since beginning his relationship with Mary. Remus had the idea that Sirius saw it all as an extension of the snogging competition. What do you mean?" "You know," Sirius continued, juggling a few dung bombs carelessly. "Over the clothes or under the clothes, above the waist or below the—" "Thing like that." Peter was bright red now. And it's none of your business anyway." "Oh, go on. I'll tell you how far I've got with MacDonald." "I don't want to know." "She's let me feel up her—" "Okay, finished," Remus said loudly. "Next stop, Ravenclaw." It took them almost an hour, and it was well past curfew by the time they finished everything. "In hindsight," James yawned. We should have started laying them further from the common room and worked our way back. Remus nodded drowsily. We did it, though, Sirius cheered. The Marauders are back. We never went anywhere, Peter muttered. He was still annoyed for having been put on the spot earlier. They were over halfway back when Remus caught Mrs. Norris's scent. He shushed the others, and Peter quickly transformed into a rat, more out of nervousness than anything. James was just raising the cloak to cover them when the cat appeared, mewing disdainfully at them. Sirius, still full of energy, winked at James. Watch this! And turned into a dog. He barked 3 times and Mrs. Norris turned tail and ran. Sirius turned back, laughing hysterically. Who's there? Filch's voice echoed round the same corner. You've done it now, Remus moaned. You idiot! Run, James said, and set off at full pelt toward the common room, Peter squeaking behind him. Remus tried to keep up, but his hip wouldn't allow it, and he was soon out of breath. Sirius hung back with him, much to his annoyance. Go! He panted, waving a hand at Sirius. I might not get in trouble, but you will. Don't slow down. Nonsense, Moony, Sirius said, looking around quickly. His face lit up. In here! Sirius grabbed Remus by the wrist and yanked him into a nearby broom cupboard, closing the door as quietly as possible. Perfect! Remus hissed, annoyed, snatching back his hand. Now if we get caught, they'll know we were up to something. Oh, relax, will you? Sirius retorted. The worst we'll get is attention. You used to get loads of detentions. You used to be fun. Well, I'm sorry if my idea of fun doesn't involve spending all night stuck in a broom cupboard with you, Remus whispered back hotly. It was dark, and he knew Sirius couldn't see him as well as Remus could see Sirius. Lumos, Sirius whispered, lighting his wand point and rummaging in his pocket. There wasn't much room, and he kept jostling into Remus's hip. What are you doing now? Remus snapped, trying to edge away as much as possible. Why couldn't he have ended up trapped with James or Peter? Peter would have been perfect. Calm your tits, Sirius grunted. I've got the map. Hang on. Ah! He withdrew the blank parchment from his back pocket and tapped it with his wand. I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. Nothing. Sirius cleared his throat. I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. Moony, it's broken. Or that it's just a bit of old parchment and someone else has the map, Remus suggested. Potter, I'll bloody kill him. No, it's good, Remus said, thinking fast. If James has it, then he can find us, or at least he knows where we are. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Then we should wait, then. Well, since you've put us in a corner, I don't think we have a choice. Sirius sighed heavily. Remus felt his breast against...
His breast?
No.
Oh.
Remus felt his breath against his collarbone. He tried to twist away, feeling an alarming tightening in his trousers. Godric, Sirius huffed. What's your problem? What? Remus reacted, surprised. You've been dragging your heels about this prank for ages, avoiding me and James since Christmas. I've been revising, and you've had Quidditch. We're not 12 anymore. We can't spend all our time together. Seem to spend plenty of time with Evans. We're prefects together. She helps me with potions. And the mood? What mood? You've been grumpy all year. Remus was pretty miffed to be called moody by Gryffindor's resident drama queen, but he held his tongue. It was no good getting into a fight, not when you were so close your knees were knocking together. It's nothing. Exam stress. I don't believe you, Sirius said defiantly. His wand had gone out, but he was looking right at Remus. Maybe he could see in the dark. Dogs could, couldn't they? His eyes burned like filaments. Something's wrong, Moony. Tell me. Nothing's wrong. Leave it alone, will you? Okay, Sirius replied, his voice softer now, less aggressive. Okay, but I wish you would tell me. You used to tell me your secrets. Look, this isn't the time, Remus whispered, closing his eyes and turning his head away. We're about to get caught out of bed and probably get a month of detentions. We need to be quiet. He felt Sirius nod, and they said no more. He could come up with an excuse, Remus thought, for the mood. If exam stress didn't work, then maybe mention the war. The Marauders hadn't really discussed it in detail, and it was on Remus's mind, so he hoped that would be more believable. But he didn't want to remind Sirius, after everything he'd already been through. He had considered mentioning his snake problem, but was equally concerned about Sirius's reaction to that. He'd been getting in enough trouble lately, and Remus didn't want anyone going after Severus on his account. He'd deal with that himself. Some nights, when he couldn't sleep, Remus had even mulled over the possibility of claiming he did have a crush on Mary. He was sure that Sirius would be understanding, and it seemed an easy way out. Or else he could pretend Grant was a girl and tell them about that. He had decided not to, and felt guilt for even coming up with that idea. It was dishonest at best, and disrespectful at worst, even if Grant never found out. There was nothing to do but wait for it to pass. God, it was warm, squashed in a cupboard like that. Remus did everything he could do to keep his back pressed hard against the wall. There was barely any room at all. If Sirius so much as stepped forward an inch, they would be touching, and if, horror of horrors, they came into contact anywhere below the waist, he would find out that Remus was stiff as a rod. It was torture. Moony? Sirius whispered so quietly Remus thought he might have imagined it, but he was looking up at him, a strange look on his face. Are you? Suddenly, blessedly, the door swung open to reveal James grinning at them, Wormtail on his shoulder. Having fun, lads? Remus could have kissed him. Our hero, he smiled weakly.
Oh, that was the end of the chapter?
That was the end of the chapter.
Oh. Sirius knows.
Sirius
Fairly
knows.
Suspicious.
I think Sirius knows.
Maybe he bumped into something that wasn't a broom.
I think Sirius has had a suspicion since Remus confirmed that he did not have a crush on Mary.
You think so?
I think so.
I didn't really get the vibes that Sirius knew.
No, I think he talked to him about having a crush on Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And Remus very much confirmed that he did not.
Yeah.
And then I think since then, Remus has been avoiding them and all that stuff. And Sirius...
Like, well, why don't you like Mary?
Well, and Sirius keeps up on everything that goes on in the Muggle world.
That's true.
So Sirius would know about, like, the emerging gay movement and all that stuff, and Ziggy Stardust and all that. And, quote unquote, Mary is the hottest girl in the school. She's got the biggest tits.
And Lily.
And
Always
Lily.
hanging around him.
Lily is literally always there.
Lily just kind of threw herself at him at one point.
And he said, no, I'm not good. I'm good. He didn't do the snogging thing. I think Sirius has been slowly paying attention. I think Sirius is putting everything together and was about to ask him. And
James ruined it.
James and
Wormtail
on his shoulder. That's so upsetting.
Why?
Because he betrayed him. And he's right there on his shoulder being his little guy. It's just, this author is doing everything in her power to connect James and Peter so tightly.
and
to
make
make
it
it
even worse.
it's so yes, to make it so devastating. It's so bad.
I did.
It's well, I don't mean that it's badly written. I just mean that it just makes it so much more upsetting.
Yeah, I did catch maybe a little seed of how or why Sirius is gonna lead Snape into the tree.
Oh, do tell.
Well, he I forget what he says, that he doesn't want Sirius to find out about Snape, but he doesn't want Sirius to have to deal with the Snape problem as his problem. So is it gonna be something where, you know, they start getting friendly, he finds out and like, you're not messing with my man, Snape.
Maybe even if they don't get that friendly, maybe he just finds out about it.
Maybe. It's just like, you know what? You want to mess with Remus? Go mess with him tonight on full moon.
Go down there, bud.
Under the Whomping Willow. He'll meet you there at midnight. Just go in the tunnel. He'll be there.
I think that's a good prediction. I was reading this and thinking Sirius is going to find out. He's going to get pissed, and that's going to be the reason why he tells Snape.
Yeah. Because we've been talking about this. That's something I've just been looking for. Like, Snape is barely in this story. How are you going to set this up? And I think there it is. That's the beginning of the setup.
I would agree. I think that's a pretty solid argument.
Yeah.
I think Sirius is going to find out that Snape is dogging him nonstop. And
dogging. Good term. Good phrase.
And it's going to end up Sirius is going to be like, F this. I'm going to get him off his back by saying this. And he's going to go down there and problem solved. Never mind that he could almost kill him.
Almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
Or at least turn him into a werewolf. What if Snape was a werewolf? Oh, Harry would have been screwed.
Seriously needs more Snape. I agree. Yeah, I know. He spelled it.
I know.
It's great. Way to spell it.
I do miss this. This is one time I miss Snape. Because I thought it was great when it was like the back and forth, and I thought no friend was going to continue through the story.
Yeah, I loved the back and forth with them and Snape. It was a lot of fun.
And Snape just kind of disappeared, and he shows up here and there. But I get it because obviously Snape is a part of
the Death Eater
thing.
Yeah.
He's not a Death Eater yet. Whatever they call their little recruits. They're Death Munchers. Death Munchkins.
But I would still think that there would be more interactions where they like pick on him or something to make it.
I feel like we're gonna get a little bit more, but yeah, I would have liked this scene. More of that. More
of just the open hostility between them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole prank war was fun.
It was.
Yeah. Death Snackers.
Death Snackers.
That's great.
Death Nom-Nommers.
Death Noms.
Death Noms. But yeah, I don't really see a strong basis for the whole Snape hatred, but at the same time, the story is from Remus's perspective.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of take that with a grain of salt.
I guess so.
I think I should probably start the next chapter before we don't have time to start the next chapter.
Yes, please, because the ending of that sparked all sorts of theories and ideas in my head, and now I want to see if any of them come to fruition in this next chapter.
Oh my god, is it? Alright. Chapter 86. 5th year. Sweet 16.
Ooh la la.
Oh, hang on.
What?
Kayla's at the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dang. For good reasons, I'm assuming. We have a friend who's pregnant, and that's...
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry.
I guess it's about that time.
Yeah, she's being induced.
Oh, that's awesome. Glad
Yeah.
to go visit.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, so
Sorry. That was just very... Oh, that was very personal. I'm sorry. That was very exciting. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. All right. Woo. Babies! All right. Tuesday, 9th of March, 1976. It was a miracle of epic proportions that none of them were caught, and even more miraculous that their prank went off without a hitch the next day, resulting in a morning off lessons while Filch dealt with the terrible stench. The rest of the classes took place outside on the grounds, in early spring sunshine, which, as far as the Marauders were concerned, was a win. Additionally, Sirius could barely contain his glee when they all returned to their common rooms that evening to find a notice pinned to the corkboard reminding students that dogs were not on the approved list of pets at Hogwarts. This caused a huge amount of confusion amongst the rest of the student populace, of course. I've never seen a dog. Who's got a dog? If one of the Slytherins got a dog in, then I want to bring my rabbit from home. I think I've seen one on the grounds, actually. Maybe it's a stray. Needless to say, Sirius and James were in their element. I'll sniff him out, Sirius announced. I bet he's right under our noses, James laughed. Could be closer than we think. Remus laughed too, trying to mask his unease. Sirius had so far said nothing about the half hour in the broom cupboard. Remus could only assume that either A, Sirius had found nothing out of the ordinary, and in fact Remus was once again overthinking things, likely, or B, Sirius knew everything about Remus, his darkest desires and deepest secrets, and preferred not to address it because the whole thing was just too embarrassing. Less likely, but more frightening. At any rate, Remus threw himself into his schoolwork, his prefect duties, and generally being a model student. This at least ensured that he was out of Sirius's way, and Remus and Sirius had evidently decided to do the complete opposite. He had never exactly been the best at following rules, of course, but even James admitted that this year Sirius appeared to be attempting some kind of record. He was in detention at least every night, rarely completed his homework, even though he could do it with one arm tied behind his back if he wanted to, and split the rest of his time between making mischief and seeing how far he could get his tongue down Mary McDonald's throat. Not that Mary seemed to mind much. That was fine. That was just as it should be. It wasn't easy, though. As much of a relief as it was to be away from the one person he couldn't be sensible around, Remus also found it very distressing to be away from the one person he couldn't be sensible around. Marlene and Lily were lovely. They were kind and funny and clever and generous, but they were a poor substitute for the Marauders. He even tried spending a bit more time talking to Christopher, asking him questions about home or the music he liked. It was worse than he'd expected. Christopher was a pure-blood wizard who didn't know any Muggle music and didn't appear to be that interested in hearing any. On top of that, he'd realised his error in spoiling Remus's birthday surprise and wouldn't stop apologising, which was incredibly annoying. Remus had already promised James that he would act surprised when the party was unveiled in his honour. He'd tried to talk them all out of it, of course, but he'd been pleading for moderation since first year and knew he was unlikely to get it. Don't make a fuss on my account, he said at dinner the morning before. Lily will go mental. Wrong, James said smugly. Lily sent out half the invitations. Invitations? Yeah, we've had a lot of interest. Considered charging entry, actually, Sirius explained, eyes twinkling across the table. Remus looked at his food quickly. He decided not to make eye contact with Sirius ever again. It would not be easy, but it was the only way. Of this he was convinced. Your little library gang wanted to come, James continued, but they're not all Gryffindors, so we had to open it up to other houses. Then there's this weird group of 7th years who said, "You're a total legend." No idea what that's about. Have you got a secret double life or something, Moony? Remus shrugged. He still had some students asking for cigarettes, though he didn't sell them anymore. He usually didn't mind lending fags, though, as long as they were eventually repaid. Well, anyway, James pushed his glasses up his nose. You simply have too many fans, Moony, and we can't let them all down at short notice, can we? Fine. No drinking, though, Remus sighed. It's a school night.
What a buzzkill, Remus. Come on.
What a lame-o. Wednesday, 10th of March, 1976. Oh my god, this is Remus's problem. He's a Pisces. That's why he's such a dingus.
Okay, I guess.
It rained the morning of Remus's birthday, but he couldn't have cared less. He woke up to a pile of presents from the Potters. All sorts of lovely things like sweets and a home-baked birthday cake, plus a fine feather-bound notebook and matching quill. There were cards from everyone, including one from Professor Ferox, which made Remus blush from top to bottom. At breakfast, the Marauders conducted almost the entire school in a rendition of Happy Birthday, which ended up running to 5 encores before Remus attempted to crawl under the table to escape it. The Slytherin scowled, stony-faced, and in a fit of birthday joie de vivre, Remus actually stuck his tongue out at Snape. The Marauders then piled his plate high with a slice of toast for each available topping and handed over their own gifts. Sirius and James were in their Quidditch robes for an early morning practice before lessons. Do we have to, Potter? Marlene whined, looking up at the enchanted ceiling, which was grey and drizzly. Yes, if we want that cup, James asserted, pouring her another mug of coffee. And again, after last bell, before the you-know-what. He winked at Marlene so elaborately that Remus almost burst out laughing. Smooth, Potter. Marlene raised an eyebrow. Right, I've got to go to the library, Mary said brightly, climbing off of Sirius's lap. Got to hand in that divination book before Pince calls to have me hung, drawn and quartered. See you after second Quidditch? Sirius asked, still holding Mary at the hips. Nah, she shook her head, ringlets bouncing. I'm really behind on history. Thought I'd drop in on one of Remus's classes. Study sessions, Remus corrected quickly, careful not to look at the couple for too long. Whatever you say, Professor Lupin. She grinned at him cheekily. Oi! Sirius tugged at her to reclaim her attention. I thought you were going to sit in the Quidditch stands and do your homework. Well, I said I might. Mary squirmed free. But it's bloomin' freezing out today, and Remus is really good at explaining. Fine, Sirius said angrily, tossing his hair and crossing his arms. Do whatever you like. I don't care. Oi, don't start with me, Mr. Black, Mary frowned. You'll lose, I promise. Sirius didn't look up. Mary put a hand on her hip. Kiss me goodbye, then. Sirius didn't move. Mary's face darkened. Fine, she snapped with a little stamp of her foot. I'll see you when I bloody see you. And marched off. Everyone else at the table glanced round awkwardly, and now Remus was not the only one avoiding Sirius's eye. Fortunately, Sirius was, for once, in tune with the feelings of the others, and stood up. See you on the pitch, he muttered to James as he stalked out of the room, red robes swishing behind him. Well, Marlene said. Can't wait to hear about that for the next 2 weeks. Hope they make up soon. Everyone at the table agreed.
Are we sure that Sirius might know? That was a lot of jealousy.
That was a huge amount of jealousy. Maybe not. Oh, you don't want to hold feet?
Feet are gross.
Feet are gross. The thing is, Mary said to Remus later on in the evening as she painted her fingernails a dark, wicked shade of red, Sirius and I just have such fiery personalities, you know? In Witch Weekly, it says it means our relationship is very passionate. Every time he does that, I think of Geralt. Remus replied, trying to tune it out, as he was very purposefully drawing out lines for his astronomy chart. And obviously, passion is really good in a relationship, she continued, blowing on her fingernails. I mean, it's really good, that side of things. She smiled to herself in that awful, smug, satisfied, happy way she always did when talking about Sirius. But, I mean, he needs to learn that I have my own life, you know? I mean, it's the 70s. Yeah, great, Remus nodded, not looking up. Remus? Christopher appeared at his side. Are you doing a star chart? Can I watch? I'm not really that great at astronomy, Chris, Remus replied, trying to concentrate on his lines. You're better off just reading the textbook. Oh, no, I bet you're great. No, I'm really not. Remus, Mary said, leaning over the desk, jogging his ruler and smearing the tiniest fleck of red nail polish onto his parchment. Are you listening to me? I asked you if you know why. Sirius. Lupin! Lupin! A third year came running out of the portrait hole. I lost your notes on unicorns. Sorry, but... Oi, Lupin, can I bum a fag? A 6th year approached. Remus screwed up his face. A dull pain had started behind his eyes. Ooh, can everyone just be quiet? He said, much more brusquely than he meant to. He looked up and saw everyone staring at him, slightly wide-eyed. I've got a headache. I'm going for a lie down. He got up. Oh? Mary said, standing up too. You can't! Sorry, Remus, but the lads are up there planning... She bit her lip. I'm supposed to keep you down here. Remus took a breath. Okay, I'll go to the hospital wing then. He refused all offers to escort him, hurrying as quickly as possible, skull throbbing thickly with every step. It was no good. He would have to start being rude to people for the sake of his own sanity, if nothing else. Oh my God. So I feel you.
Been there, Remus.
Been there. Oh my God. For the sake of his own sanity, if nothing else. Since when had he become everyone's best friend anyway? Wasn't he just the same scrawny, mean, care-home brat he'd always been? The cool quiet of the sick bay was so soothing Remus could have burst into tears. As much as he was always at home at the warm glow of the Gryffindor common room, it was the still soft greys of the hospital wing where Remus first remembered feeling truly peaceful at Hogwarts. He stood there enjoying it for a moment, eyes closed. If he could just stay here all night. Hello, Remus, dear. Madame Pomfrey smiled, coming out of her office. Everything all right? Oh no. He was really going to cry. He swallowed hopelessly and raised a fist to his forehead. Remus! The nurse came over a little quicker, her brow creasing with concern. She was just a little bit taller than him, but they were eye to eye pretty much. Sorry, he gasped, his voice tight and strange as he fought back tears. I've got a headache. Sit down, Madame Pomfrey said gently, motioning to the nearest armchair by an unoccupied bed. I've just the thing. She summoned a little pewter vial from her office. It flew into her palm, and she uncorked it and gave it to him. Have 2 good glugs of that. Don't worry, it's nice and sweet. Her eye twinkled a little. Remus downed the potion and felt all the tension and pain leave his neck and head at once, like Excuse me, sorry. Like water washing away. Thanks. He ducked his head, his voice still thick. Sorry. Bit of an overreaction. Dear Remus, Madame Pomfrey chuckled. I've known you for 5 years now, and not once have you ever overreacted. Are you sure you're all right? Yeah, better now, thanks. I mean, in general, she pressed. I've heard you're burning the candle at both ends, doing long hours in the library, and you have your prefect duties, and, well, your health. I'm fine. Remus rubbed his eyes fiercely. Honestly, maybe just tired. I'll go to bed now. Happy birthday, Remus, the Mediwitch said as he got up to leave. Cheers, he nodded politely, but then she did something very strange. She reached out and hugged him, very tightly and not for very long. It was lovely. Take care of yourself, she said as he left. He walked back slowly and wished he had an invisibility cloak for it. He could do without Severus following him or having to break up a hexing match between two very inept first years. When he finally reached the portrait hole up to Gryffindor Tower, he did really fancy an early night. But of course, the Marauders had another plan. Happy birthday, Remus! The entire common room exploded as soon as he appeared. They'd done an incredible job. There were streamers hanging from every rafter, portrait and picture rail, and confetti liberally sprinkled over everything else. Students and friends of Remus's from every house and year group grinned back at him. A flock of real-life fairies fluttered over their heads. The tables were laden with sandwiches, cakes, pasties and pastries, as well as a huge bowl of a very suspicious-looking punch. He smiled as widely as he could when he entered the room. Oh, my God, he said, hoping he was doing a good surprised face. You lot are crazy. They laughed and eagerly ushered him into the room, where he found himself surrounded by cheers and pats on the back and birthday wishes. The record player began to blare, and Remus's 16th birthday party began in earnest. I think this is bigger than Sirius's party, James said, handing Remus a cup of the purplish-looking punch. Don't tell him I said that, though. I don't know why all these people are here, Remus replied, staring round amazed. Everyone from every one of his classes, his study group, some people he'd only spoken to a few times. Because you're Moony, obviously, the acceptable face of the Marauders. James nudged him. Wow. Look at Evans. Lily did look lovely, in a deep maroon miniskirt and high wedge sandals. She was dancing with Marlene and Mary in a little group of 3, laughing and raising her hands above her head. Please tell me someone's confiscated your broom tonight, Remus said to James, who laughed good-naturedly. Don't worry, I'm not planning to get that drunk again anytime soon. I'm playing hard to get tonight. She'll appreciate that, Remus replied. He scanned the room for Sirius, who seemed to be missing. There was Peter, cozied up in an armchair with Desdemona. There was Christopher, having a very earnest conversation with a third-year Ravenclaw girl, occasionally glancing up to smile at Remus. The rest of the Gryffindor Quidditch team were huddled round the punch, challenging each other to down stronger and stronger measures. Sirius. James must have seen him looking. He's moping somewhere, over Mary, he explained. I told him if he can't cheer the fuck up, then he's not to come bringing everyone else down. I've taken him a few drinks up, but it's not working. Oh, right. Still haven't made up then? Remus watched Mary, still dancing, who caught the eye of almost every boy in the room. Doesn't look like it. I thought maybe tough love would help, but I'm not as good as it. I'm not as good at it as you. So he's sulking. Don't mind him though, Moony. Enjoy your party. He did try to. The cake Mrs. Potter had sent was glorious, heavy, rich chocolate with white icing in multicolored hundreds and thousands. The candles were enchanted to burn all evening without dripping wax, and only went out for a few moments after Remus blew on them. He did not dance, though Marlene and Lily tried to drag him up for a few times, but he did mingle, thanked people for coming, and had quite a nice chat with the 7th years about which NEWTs to take. You should be a teacher, one of them said, which Remus thought was very kind but completely insane. It must have been getting close to midnight when he patted his back pocket for his pack of cigarettes and found them missing. Sighing, he considered leaving it, but he'd had enough to drink now and just really wanted a smoke more than anything. There was still a box in the bottom of his trunk, if Sirius hadn't pinched them. He decided to go and look. Halfway up the stairs, he bumped into James again. Sorry, Moony, the black-haired boy said, looking a bit drunk and a bit annoyed. He's coming down now. Remus looked over James's shoulders to see a sullen-faced Sirius follow him down the stairs. Not going to bed, are you? James asked. No. Remus shook his head, almost dumbstruck. Fags. Filthy habit, James said with a wonky smirk. He glanced over his shoulder. Come on then, Black. Just a sec, Sirius said, looking at Remus. I just want to say happy birthday to Moony. Fine. Hurry up, James said, slurring. Remus, tell him to swallow his stupid bloody pride and get down here and snog Mary, eh? Okay, Prongs. James pushed the door open, and for a few seconds light and noise invaded the staircase, before muting again as he closed the door behind him. Sirius and Remus were alone. Happy birthday, Moony, Sirius said, coming down a few steps to stand level with Remus. Cheers, Remus smiled as casually as he could. You, okay? Yeah, fine, Sirius said, though it was clearly a lie. He was fiddling with an empty cup. Sorry if I ruined your party. You didn't. It's been great. Good. Quiet. Sirius looked down, then up at Remus again. James reckons I need to be the one to go and make up with Mary. Probably a good idea. You think so? Well, yeah. Remus was confused. You like Mary, I thought. Sirius shrugged, looking at Remus again, his eyes dark blue, flecked with sharp, icy silver. His lips were shiny and red from drinking, and he had that slightly petulant look he got when he wasn't smiling. Remus almost wanted to look away, he was so gorgeous. It wouldn't be right, staring at each other like that. It couldn't possibly end well. I do like Mary, Sirius said, leaning forward slightly. Remus could feel his breath on his skin. So, go and snog her then, silly prat, Remus said hurriedly, trying to step back but bumping against the wall behind him. It was such a stupidly narrow stairway, like the broom cupboard all over again. I will, Sirius said, biting his lip slightly. Oh, God, Remus thought. I will in a minute. Remus swallowed. Have you ever kissed anyone, Remus? You know I haven't. The lie came easily now. Sirius nodded, looking at him again, that forward, knowing look. It's not as scary as you think it is, Sirius said. Remus couldn't bear it. He might never know what came over him in that moment. It was all just too much, and he grabbed the back of the other boy's neck and pulled him forward, pressing his lips hard against Sirius's. It was terrifying and amazing. Even more so when Sirius began kissing him back, opening his lips and allowing Remus to slide his tongue inside. It was all at once startling, incredible, and familiar. He couldn't think, as if every transmitter in his brain had short-circuited at once, fizzing and popping, sending off sparks. Yes, was the only coherent thought he had. Yes, 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 Yes.
It's about time. There we go.
They came to their senses simultaneously, both pulling away. Remus snatched back his hand. Sirius stared at him wide-eyed. Remus looked away first. I'd better... Sirius started back toward the common room. Yeah, I was just... Remus backed away, up the stairs. Sirius disappeared behind back toward the party, and Remus exhaled deeply, feeling he might sink to the floor. He ran his fingers through his hair and wiped his mouth. He rubbed his eyes and fought the urge to punch the wall. What had he been playing at? Sirius would think he was completely mad, or worse. He'd never done anything like that before. Maybe he was mad. He had to say sorry. He had to make it right. Before Sirius told James. Before they all knew. Remus straightened his shirt and headed down the stairs, hoping to catch up with Sirius to apologize, to somehow explain. He re-entered the common room, still vibrant with light and music, and saw something that made him stop still. He shrank back, unable to move away. Sirius was snogging Mary. He had her pushed up against the marble mantelpiece, and she looked like she was pushing back against him with equal ferocity, their bodies pressed together, heads bobbing. Her arms were slung round his neck, her thin, dark fingers in her hair. Everyone cheered and hooted merrily. Remus turned on his heel and marched straight back to the tower. He ignored James and Peter, who were planning to head to the kitchens for more supplies. He just shook his head mute and carried on up the stairs to their bedroom. He drew the curtains round his bed and lay down, feeling strange. He covered his face with his arms and thought about the two of them together. He thought about Sirius's eyes and the curve of Mary's hips until he fell into a fitful sleep.
Oh, poor Lupin. But come on. Sirius is confused right now.
Oh, Sirius is confused. I definitely think Sirius is confused. That's not Sirius's fault.
No, definitely not.
They finally kissed!
And Sirius reciprocated.
And Sirius was like, yeah, I'm down. Yep.
But then he went down and was like, I'm not too sure. Let me just see.
Let me kiss this girl and grind up all on her business. Remus might need a resto momentum.
So there it is. What chapter are we on?
Hang on. Next chapter is 87.
So it didn't take us halfway. It didn't take us half the chapters to get there.
No, it didn't.
We finally got there.
We finally got there. We
didn't get any answers on the whole Snape question that we had.
But the momentum is building with the Snape question.
It is. But at least it's out there now. Sirius knows. I have a feeling the next chapter is going to be a very awkward one.
The next chapter is called Morning After.
Yeah, it's gonna be super.
It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be that.
But what a great moment! It finally happened, though.
It did. All those frustrating times where you're just like, just do it.
Just stick your tongue in his throat already, for God's sake. Just do it.
Yeah, that was a little much, you know. Take it slow. But anyways.
All right, fair enough. I'm not a Wolfstar person either, just for the record.
You would have fooled me.
I'm really not.
Very excited and enthusiastic about this.
The story is so good.
Well, yeah.
It's not the partnership or the pairing that I'm into, but it's just that it's so well written.
Yeah, it is.
Like, come on!
It is.
The angst is...
I like the little note about, like, mental health there, too. Where he's just, like, too stressed out and overloaded with everything.
Yeah.
Burnt out.
Yeah, and Madame Pomfrey is like, are you okay? Do you need to take time for yourself? Don't push yourself too hard.
Right? Breathe. Take some time.
Take this potion. Whatever that potion is, I need that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a a reasonable, realistic time period too, Dan.
The 70s? Yeah. Come on.
No, I think he means the time it took to get to this point.
Oh, yeah. I would
Because,
agree.
I mean, we start out as, 11-year-old Lupin. You don't know what's going on then. Gotta at least, figure some stuff out before we even explore this.
And being gay and not being attracted to girls and kind of thinking there's something wrong with him because he's not attracted to girls, and then finally being like, oh, it's because I'm gay. Because at that time, there weren't people just like out that you could talk to and whatever else.
Yeah. And Farrakh sent him a gift.
Which made him blush from head to toe.
Oh, there's another thing I was gonna say. Yeah, they're kind of beating you over the head with the whole teacher thing.
Yeah. You should be a teacher. You should be a teacher.
Yeah. Like, they were calling him professor. I was kind of like, okay, that's cool, little thing in there, But now it's like everyone just, you should be a teacher. You should be a professor. It's like, we get it. He teaches Harry. He teaches defense against the dark arts later. We get it.
I think they're just trying to, but I don't know what's going to happen later in this story, but maybe Lupin takes that to heart and maybe he tries to be a teacher and maybe he can't get a job.
Oh, I think that'll definitely happen,
but yeah. What a couple of zingers,
right?
Man.
I can only assume that the next couple of chapters are going to be some downers.
Oh my god,
it's
look.
Gonna be awkward.
Like Ginny wishing Harry happy birthday at Deathly Hallows.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Harry.
Except
Ron doesn't walk in on you and make it awkward.
Yeah.
James didn't walk in on him.
And there's more chemistry than was in the movie.
Yeah. Well, the chemistry in the book was actually real.
Yeah. I'm just that scene in the movie is painful.
It's cringe.
Yeah, it is.
It's very cringe.
There is no chemistry between those.
Oh my
actors.
god! Remember the scene where she ties his shoe for him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was the worst. It was awful. Yeah. On that note, though, I have to pee before we discuss Earthsea because I know what a couple of zingers, but we're running over time, and I'd love to talk about them, but Noelle might be waiting.
That's
so
true.
Let me pee.
Let me get everything ready then while you do that. Oh, wrong program. Don't need that open. Yeah, he's on. Hello, sir. How's it going? Fantastic. I'm glad this week is almost over. That's for sure, though. It's been a long one. Right? That's always how it is. Let's see. Oh, that's good.
Oh my god, okay, I'm so sorry.
It's been good.
I just had to pee so bad.
You know those weeks where it feels like you're super busy and then just nothing gets done? That's kind of the week I've had.
I felt like the hamster running in the wheel, like, all week. Like, doing things and getting things done, but then more stuff comes in, and then more stuff comes in, and it's just like everything I get done, then more stuff, and it just feels like over and over and over and over. Oh my god, that's literally like 99.9% of my job.
Just like half of the issues in Earthsea could have been avoided if Ged had just manned up from the start
And not been a moron.
chased down the shadow.
Can I just say, now that we've finished the novel, who was right in their prediction? Oh,
Whoa! Oh no!
oh, wait, hang on. Hey Dan, can you hear him now?
All right, say something.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Okay. Yep, now we can hear
Sorry,
you.
I know my microphone maybe is bad. I don't know.
No,
No,
it was Biggs not doing things right. But anyway,
But yeah,
now
you were absolutely right. You nailed it with the shadow being Ged's internal darkness.
called it. Called it.
Yeah, you did.
I called it.
But I'm not saying I think Biggs's guess was good. I'm just, it's just
I was gonna say
Lex had it.
when he was describing it, he did mention death was like a part of it, so I feel like I was partially right.
Well, I would love to talk about.
No. Light cannot exist without the dark. Ged cannot be good and do good things without having the bad within him to know the difference. Which makes this book very Buddhist in that way.
And also shows me that Rick and Morty ripped off this book in their episode with the cleanse of their toxicities.
Their toxic selves.
Yeah.
I love that episode. It's a great episode.
Well, Lex, I know you mentioned last time that you were a fan of Ogion, so I'm sure you were glad to see him come back, if only briefly.
Actually, I talked to Biggs about this previously. The chapter with Ogion and how the chapter ends was probably my favorite part of the book. When he returns to Ogion in his weakest and most desperate state, and he's just asking him for help, and Ogion recognizes that he's been through the trials and he is learning, and he fashions him the staff, and he tells him that you can't keep running from this. The only way to defeat it is to continue. And then the very end of the chapter is the little note written in the stone that says, thank you, master. I am off hunting, or whatever. I was like,
yeah, I have gone hunting.
I've gone hunting. I was like, that is literally the best part of the book right there. What a zinger. What a banger.
You can't run from your vices. You have to tackle them head on.
And absorb them.
Totally.
And recognize them as a part of you and own them.
It's like,
and even
Tyrion
as a
said.
kid, when I read this book, I thought that was so huge. Like the fact that Ged decides he's not going to be a victim. He's going to decide to, I'm going to be the hunter now hunting the hunted. I'm going to flip it on its head.
Mm-hmm.
And just that change in perspective, and I think this applies to all sorts of things. If you just change your perspective, you can really alter the outcome. And I just think that's a great lesson.
And your perception of the universe and the world and your place in it. As soon as he makes up his mind to no longer be the hunted, right, everything changes. And the whole dynamic of the story shifts. And it very much is like a coming of age story in the sense that Ged is finally a man once he recognizes the negativities in himself and that they
Right.
are a part of him and that he will master them and he will own them. They will not own him. He will own them. It's almost like a physical manifestation of a spiritual journey that people undergo to
Absolutely.
understand who they are and all of the good and bad that makes up who they are.
Mm-hmm. And like Dan
And to
says,
me, that
balance
is
to
the
the
ringing
force.
lesson of this book. That's what really resonates to me. Even rereading it for the first time since I was young, it's just such a great moment.
And at the end, we really see something you complained about was how mopey Ged was all the time
Oh my god.
and depressed. And
Oh my god.
I think that the whole book, he's kind of like that. But at the end, we kind of see why, because after he does reclaim that shadow, he's much happier.
Right.
He's joyful and
He's whole.
yeah.
It's almost like what I feel I struggle with a lot. It's almost like when Ged ripped this piece of himself out, and then he spends all these years trying this, and it didn't click with me actually until right now. But he continues trying this, that, and the other thing, and it's almost like there's a hole in his soul that he's trying to fill. And he's trying to fill it with spells and skills and traveling and doing this and accomplishments and deeds and everything else. And it's just like this hole in his soul that he can't fill. And then finally he becomes whole when he recognizes that other part of himself that he didn't want to recognize. And he owns the entirety of who he is. And he recognizes the entirety of his being and he accepts himself for who he completely is in every aspect, that he's finally whole and he's fulfilled. And thus, he is happy because he finally knows exactly who he is inside and out.
Yeah. It was a much deeper book than I was led to believe when I first started reading it. Like I said, I had my doubts about this book when we started it, but it really turned itself around, and it was a solid book, I thought. Solid story.
I think
Like it surprised me.
I think when I initially finished it, I was sitting here going, okay, it was good. All right. But then over the last couple, I finished it yesterday. And then this morning we were kind of discussing it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, it's good, but I don't get the hype. And then I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And I go, okay.
Yeah, it sinks in. This is a real sinker, you know? It just, the themes really.
And
take
now
it
that
a
I'm
little
sitting
bit.
here and I'm thinking about it and I'm going, this is actually the story of a young boy finally coming to terms with and accepting who he is for completely and wholly who he is.
For the first time ever.
For the first time ever. And rejoicing in the understanding that he loves every piece of himself, the good, the bad, all of it. And that the
Which
only
there's
way...
no greater treasure than that.
Right.
Yeah.
And to finally find that happiness, to be like, this is what it really is. Kind of thinking about that and understanding now, I'm like, okay, now I get the hype. Now I get the understanding of why people go bananas over this book. Because honestly, oh, good Lord. What a beast to get through. And maybe it's because I'm an adult reading through it the first time and I'm going, okay.
I was going to say, I feel like this book definitely would have hit a lot harder if I had read this when I was younger.
But I don't know about... Well, I don't know. I've got a pretty deep understanding of literature. I don't know if I would have not grasped the deeper meaning of the book. But I think reading it as an adult made it harder to push through and persevere to the end to get the deeper, greater understanding of the book.
But just like Ged's journey, I mean, now that you've gone through it, isn't the reward so much sweeter at the end? Now
Oh
that
yeah.
you've gone through that trial.
I think now that I've finally unlocked what it is,
Exactly.
I'm just kind of
Yeah.
like, damn.
I think the issue we had was that we've been so immersed in Lord of the Rings and A Song of Ice and Fire, Harry Potter. I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire, the
So-
first book is basically 500 pages of setup. Even Harry Potter, you could argue that the first 2, maybe 3 books are really just setting up the larger story. And this just moved a little bit faster. It didn't have all that world building and that little setup.
Yeah.
But it definitely, even without that, packed a huge punch with the themes and the meaning behind the story.
I'm so
Also-
glad that you guys have seen the light in some ways. I mean, I'm not saying this is like the be all
saw
end
the
all
shadow.
of books or the shadow, yeah. But I knew there was something valuable here, and I'm so glad you guys are seeing it.
Can we just give a shout out to Vetch?
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Maybe my favorite character in the book. Just yeah.
What a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also, if I can expand on Vetch for just a minute. So Ged comes to Vetch's house and he sees he's living with his family in his hometown where he was born and raised, and he's hanging out with his family, and it's just this very humble existence. And Ged is getting acquainted with it, and he's fitting in and talks to the little girl Yarrow, who is
Yeah.
like really interested in everything he has to say. And I kind of almost got some Wizard of Oz vibes from this whole scenario with him and Vetch hanging out with his family. That Ged kind of gets a sense of everything he's ever been asking for has always been right at home, whatever he needed. And he sees that Vetch is right at home with his family, and he kind of gets this sense of this is what happiness and fulfillment really is sitting at home
And having
with-
dinner with your family.
with your family, with people who love you, and being comfortable here in this humble place. Because all he's wanted for so long is like fame and glory and being the most powerful. And then he sees Vetch just being the
Chillin'.
local wizard, chilling with his family, and it kind of like hits him like all I ever needed to look for was right in my backyard the entire time. And it's very much got that like Dorothy vibe where Dorothy just hates everything about where she lives and it's terrible and all this stuff happens, and then she goes to Oz and all this stuff happens and all she wants to do is go home. And then she realizes like everything I ever needed was right in my backyard, and I didn't even know it the entire time until now.
And the crucial part there too is that Dorothy always had the power to go home the whole time.
Right.
It was
Mhm.
always within her power, but she just didn't know it or recognize it.
She needed to
And-
know it in her heart for herself.
Right. Yeah, and that's how you unlock that. That's so yeah.
And it's interesting that as soon as he figures this out, he knows where he needs to go, and he knows what he needs to go do. And he needs to go to the lands beyond.
I love the
Yes.
last chapter where they sail into the beyond seas. So cool. Visually it's so awesome to me. Just sailing into and I love when he confronts the shadow finally. It's
Yeah.
like
Mm.
the sea becomes this sandy ocean island thing,
Yeah.
and they have their confrontation. But Vetch is on the boat and he's like I think he almost drowns at one point. Like, he can't see what Ged sees. You know, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Ged's battle.
And he
So-
tries to step into it and he sinks and he's just like, oh.
Right,
oh.
exactly. Yeah. And oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's just so great that the key to I was going to say defeating the shadow, but really we're talking about accepting the shadow, right? We're talking about
Yeah.
accepting your dark side, and just like it's part of me, and as long as I keep tabs on it, it's going to be okay. So I love how the key to accepting the shadow is calling it by his own name. Like, that is who he, that's the shadow's name, Ged. Ged, for those who don't know, that's how Ged defeats the shadow, is he realizes its true name is his own name.
Because it is him.
Because it is him.
him.
And so when we read the first section of the book, and I'm like, I bet it's him. I bet it says dark side. And then he's going through
And
the
I'm
chapters.
like, how can I not give this away?
And then as we're going through the next chapters, the first time he goes to some land and they're like, we've seen you before, but you walked without a shadow, but it was definitely you, but you didn't have a shadow, and it was weird. So here's some food, get the F out. And I was like, and I immediately was like, I'm right. It's his shadow self, and he's gotta just go and confront it. And when he calls it by his own name, it was just like, there it is. He's got this. He knows
Yep.
he is. It's a like almost physical manifestation of you conquering your own demons, and I'm just like, there it is.
Which
Yep.
is a classic theme. And
Absolutely.
just great to see that rendered here again. And I know you touched on it before, but Ged's joy afterwards is just, you can feel it, right? You can feel it through the page. It's just like, as much as you've like, maybe you personally, but I'd say a lot of people, Ged is kind of a person you root against almost for the whole book. And then now that he's reached this point, you're like, yes, like we get to celebrate with Ged, and it's such a cool moment.
Yeah, it's only like a page, half a page, where you have that joy, but you definitely can tell in the writing, it just comes across.
He's a changed human.
Instantly.
I love that the shadow takes the form of other faces. And we actually kind of learn what happened to Jasper. Never got his staff.
Nope.
That's what you get for being a dirtball, I guess.
It happens.
I wanted to ask you guys, I think we've touched on a lot of the key plot points, but there are some cool side quests, you could say, in this section that we read. What do y'all think of the stone chapter where he wakes up and the lady with the stone, right? The stone's going to set him free. The stone's going to tell him the shadow's name, and everything is going to be good. And Ged's like, something's not right here.
Okay.
Something is not.
I definitely knew something wasn't right. Like, everything's cold. I'm just like, no. You know, in the horror movie when the person starts walking towards the sound, the chainsaw sound, and you're just like, no, run. That's kind of the feeling I had as soon as he was in there. I'm just like, Ged, no. Don't follow her down. No, Ged, no.
Can I be a terrible person? I don't know if this makes me a terrible person.
Well, we got to embrace our dark side, so I guess so.
All right. As soon as I read the chapter, as soon as I started the chapter and it was the woman again from when she came to visit. Now, when she came to visit the school, I was like, what if that's the little girl all grown up? Then we get to the next chapter with the stone, and I was like, that's her! That's the little girl! That was the little girl that was egging him on to do bad shit! And this is bad! Ged, you idiot! This is bad. Everything about this screams bad. And then we get further and further into the chapter, and I was just like, boom, there it is. I knew it! You idiot! Ged, you idiot! You moron! You absolute fool!
Well, at least he didn't fall for it in the end.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So see, he learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But I was
But
just like,
he did go quite a ways though.
He
He was
did.
on,
They
he was
They
on the
s-
verge.
they spent
Yeah.
long hours talking, blah blah blah, and I'm like, you did that before. You guys spent long hours talking before. It's the same person. It is.
And now there's an evil stone involved, and don't mess with bad rocks.
Cast
Okay?
it into the fire, Ged. Cast it into the fire. Destroy it.
I will say the hardest
The
part about
stone
that
is
chapter.
mine.
The stone is mine.
He needed his Samwise.
He didn't
Yeah,
have a
right.
Samwise.
The-
Vetch was off cooking dinner for his sister.
Vetch
If he
was
had-
Samwise.
If he had Vetch the entire time, story would have been
Right.
totally different.
Oh yeah. The hardest part about that chapter though was the Otek.
Oh my god, that was so sad.
Yeah. That hurt me.
That actually really did hurt me when the Otek died.
Mhm.
That was the
I
most
know.
upsetting part of the whole book.
Because
Yeah.
that was his like little friend, you know.
Yeah, he brought him back from death. They were real companions. It was almost like Hedwig, but
right?
not as
Like, I'm
painful.
almost
It's
right.
similar
I'm almost
to when
glad
Hedwig
they
gets
didn't
off.
build up that relationship more.
Oh my
the
god,
thing,
yeah,
like-
for real.
Thank God you only mentioned it here and there because I couldn't have taken it if it was a Hedwig situation and that's how it goes. And that leads to another question. You know, the Otak fell off. He was being chased by his shadow. Did he technically kill it?
Well, I
Was it his fault?
well, it wasn't all his shadow. It was the evil from the stone, too. All the heartless things.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the castle.
It's true.
He wasn't affected by it yet. Unless his shadow was, maybe?
But was his
Well,
shadow there?
maybe that wasn't his shadow. Maybe it was a premonition from the stone, like the beast that it conjures up afterwards.
Maybe
But I thought it was
maybe
I
the
thought it was
stone
his
contained
shadow.
something like a Balrog. Well, it
Maybe.
said like there were all these flying things.
But that's
that
when
came out.
that's when he escaped. But I'm talking the
Oh, but yeah, the
comes
Otek
off
was-
when he's running to.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
That's right. That's right. And it wouldn't come out. It kept hiding.
Yeah.
It was still alive, but it kept hiding. Yeah,
And then when he got in the castle, he couldn't find it.
that's right.
So did his shadow kill it? Because it wasn't like it was just frozen. There was blood, so it must have.
It was murdered.
Something happened. Yeah.
It's an interesting question. Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
if
now
this
that I
was
think
Harry
about
Potter,
this-
a lot of people would say it's a plot hole.
yeah, either that or I can't root for Ged.
Listen, if Ged really did murder that Otak, I will hate this book
Right?
forever.
Vetch should have just left him there. In the
Vetch
water.
should have shoved him over the side. I'm so happy, Vetch. I don't care. You murder animals. I'm out of here. Be
Right,
gone.
as soon as he asked him, what happened to your Otek? I killed him. Get out.
He was
Now.
holding me back.
That
But, the
Also,
oh, go ahead.
So how old is Ged at this point in the story at the end? He's like 19, 20.
I think he's a little older, right? Isn't he a little older than 19?
I was gonna say like 22, but I could be
Okay,
very wrong.
Well, we'll just say like 20. Did anyone else find it super, super weird that Yarrow was described as like 12 or 13 and there was obviously some romance thing going on with them?
Well, if this was George R. R. Martin, it would be normal.
I don't know. I
So
mean,
no.
Martin at
So the
least waits
answer-
till 14, 15 before they start marrying them off.
Not necessarily.
I mean, you gotta remember.
Not in the real Middle
talking
Ages.
We're talking from our generation. Shit was way different.
I know,
Like-
but
If we're talking like
this-
real medieval times,
it was just weird for me.
if
No,
you're talking,
I relate to that, but I'm just saying, like. you know.
hello, Sarah, welcome. I didn't get the romance vibes. I got a very,
I got like a little sister vibe. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
maybe
got a
Ged
little
likes
sister
Yarrow,
vibe.
but he's not gonna like You know,
I started getting. I was
also
kind
just
of
got like
okay.
student teacher vibes. Like potential student teacher vibes. I got little sister vibes. I definitely
Like
did
a
not
little
get
bit, but then as he's like traveling, he's thinking about her and smiling and this sort of thing.
I didn't
well,
get
at
the
least he
romance.
had a positive. If she's a crush, at least it's a positive crush as compared to the girl who helped, egged him on and released the whole shadow, and then, at least she's the counterweight to that.
It's
I
true.
didn't get crush vibes. I got innocence,
Yeah.
light,
Me
pure
neither. Not really.
happiness vibes. The whole like thing
Yeah.
with him eating the cake thing, like I didn't get crush vibes at all. You're just weird.
I really
No,
didn't
and
either.
like when they were eating, I didn't really get it, but like as it goes on, he keeps thinking about her and like smiling and this and that. It's like his mind keeps wandering back to her, and I'm like, I was confused because I'm like, are you trying to write her as like a love interest or something here?
I
Because
think
that's kind of what it felt like.
see, I got like she's the symbolism of like home and happiness and family and
She's also his best friend's sister, right? Younger sister. So
didn't
obviously,
stop Harry. Oh.
Well, it
Wow, I'm playing devil's advocate on both sides. What am I doing? I don't know.
but I did like Yarrow though. At the end of the day, as a character, she felt real, and I like how the last sentence of the book is them being reunited with Yarrow after they've gone back to Vetch's homeland,
House.
right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Vetch has a brother. We never hear anything about the brother.
It's all about Yarrow.
Because Ged is all about Yarrow. He's too enamored with Yarrow's cooking ability.
Oh,
I'm sure
maybe
her
he's like Chin Po. I don't care what she wears or what she looks like. It all depends on what she cooks like beef, pork, chicken.
Or in this
So
case,
sorry, everyone.
or in this case, smoked fish.
Fish cakes.
I wanted to ask
That was
also,
a terrible whistle.
The other side quest type chapter that I'm curious about what you guys think is when Geddes crashes his boat on
And he has
that
to rebuild
island.
it.
He has to rebuild his boat, and he meets these two randos, right? These two people who are like living on this
Oh my god!
rock.
The weirdest ass like Lovecraft part of the freaking book.
Yeah.
I forgot about them.
And it's so weird and but so like you just want to know more about it.
Can I do a hot take?
Yeah.
I might disturb both of you.
Okay.
So these two living on this island for 40 years.
Uh-huh.
Prince and princess. They been boning the entire time. Just saying. They be Cersei and Jaimian up in the Seal Island. They've been isolated for 40 years.
Yeah, probably. Well, they
And I would much rather that they bone each other than bone the seals.
Do they? Wait, are they siblings?
Yeah, it says it in the story. It says it in the story because Ged gets the infant dress that the old lady had, and he recognizes it as royalty, and then he leaves, and then it says years later in his studies, Ged would come to realize that they were an exiled prince and princess whose kingdom, their father was usurped for the throne, and they were exiled, and the old man was the brother and she was the little sister, and they got kicked out.
Poor seals indeed.
Maybe not. Maybe they just boned each other, and maybe the seals got left alone.
Or they watched, who knows?
Or they watched, maybe.
Or maybe they joined in. Maybe it was just...
Maybe they filmed it. I don't know.
Ew. Okay.
I just thought that chapter was just so
weird.
Off the wall, different.
It was very out of place.
Yeah.
But I
I
think
just
But
wanted your take on
it
it because
wasn't-
it is out of place. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
I'm trying to place it within. Okay, I'm gonna reach for something after I just insinuated that the brother and sister were boning each other for years. I'm gonna try and relate it.
that man was
Okay.
having sexual relations with that woman.
I think maybe Ged is considered the greatest wizard of all time, right? In this
In retrospect, yes.
in this
Yeah.
yeah, right. By the time he's like an old man, he's the greatest there ever was, right? So maybe this encounter with these people has given him a great understanding of what poverty can do to a person, what isolation can do to a person. And this gives Ged like a very real hard look at what poverty does, what isolation does, and what violent political upheaval can do to people. Because it says like they
Yeah.
live and they die on this island, and then no one knows who they were or they ever lived there, and then the island is discovered and colonized and yada yada. And I think it gives Ged like a really hard look at the bitterness and the sadness of humanity.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
even on this archipelago, which this book takes place in, which has got to be a tough place to grow up for anybody, but especially these folks, right? I mean, they're literally abandoned by the rest of society, just left to fend for themselves, which Ged kind of was as a kid. He was like kind of left to fend for himself, but not as hard as these guys. These two people have been through the ringer so much that they don't even know it anymore. It's just like this is normal.
So, Sarah, this is our discussion of the end of
A Wizard of Earthsea.
A Wizard of Earthsea. We read 2 chapters of all the young dudes before, but we are doing our book club discussion of A Wizard of Earthsea right now, and we're finishing it.
So yeah, we usually read all the young dudes first at 7. Then at 8, we'll hop in and do our book club discussion. This is actually, we're finishing up Earthsea. And if you are interested in doing the book club discussions with us, the next book we're reading is The 13 and a Half Lives of Blue Bear, Captain Blue Bear.
Which Katie is going to be into because she says it's one of her husband's favorite books.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for Captain Blue Bear too.
We're talking about stuff getting weird in this book, but I can't wait to see how things get weird in that book.
But at the same time, yeah, like this chapter did kind of feel a little out of place, but at the same time it didn't, because I feel like
Right.
I feel like
Le Guin kind of tries to present Ged with all of these experiences that kind of give him a taste of the spectrums of humanity.
Right.
He hangs out at Roke, and it's all about ambition and power and intellectualism. He starts at home where he's ridden by poverty and he's isolated. And then he goes and he defeats the dragons and he meets Pekvari and he deals with loss and grief. And
But also he deals with being like a known mage, he kind of deals with like, now I help people. This is
Right.
now what I do. I help people.
I also just want to throw it out here. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last one, but oh no, this is not Bluebeard. It's not the story of Bluebeard. It's Captain Blue Bear. It's not Bluebeard. Not even close. I don't know if I said it last time, and I might have.
I'll get the book in a minute so you can see the cover.
But I also just appreciate that Ged himself, especially at the time that this book was written, he's a dark-haired, dark-skinned, pretty much he's a main character who's a person of color, and he's the
Right.
protagonist, and it's mentioned multiple times that he's got dark hair and he's got dark skin, and especially when the time period that the book was published, it's not very common. And I just
Right.
thought that was just really awesome that we have this person of
Yeah,
color who is a main character.
totally.
And he's not overly handsome. He's got scars and this and that. Like he's just very unique among the
He's
like hero's journey type characters.
There's nothing extreme about him. But just real quick to answer, Sarah, this is the book we're going to be reading next. 13 and a half lives of Captain Blue Bear by
Here.
Walter Moores.
I'll be right back. Gotta pee again. Sorry.
And I will just say
I'm not
to
in it.
Sarah,
You're
and
good.
anyone
You're all
else,
right. No worries about being a native speaker. We're gonna type in the title for you so you can look it up.
But I just wanted to quickly share with whoever that I was just flipping through this book, the Blue Bear book, at their house. And I'm so intrigued. This looks like the funniest, most ridiculous book ever, and I'm so excited to start it. Actually, maybe we should talk about this later, Biggs, but I have some scheduling conflicts coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So maybe I just wanted to let you know, just so we can get our ducks in a row and figure out when we're going to start.
That's fine. I mean, this
Okay.
is a pretty hefty book, so I mean, if we have
Yeah.
a couple weeks in between for us to read through some, I mean, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about it later, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
let you know so you're not taken aback.
So I was talking about oh, awesome. I'm glad you found it, Sarah. Okay, so we kind of went off this topic already, but I want to jump back to that the chapter with the couple on the island, well, siblings on the island, whatever they may be. And I really was expecting that to kind of kick off the world building, because I guess my biggest issue with this book is that in the front of the book you have this huge vast
the maps are
world.
Ridiculous. The maps are insane.
And it's giant, and obviously she put a lot of time into building this world, and we really didn't see much of it, you know? I guess that's I don't know. I really wish they would have taken more time to take us to the different islands and maybe introduce us to some different things there.
Well, she does
I'm so
offhand
excited to read this book. I'm so
it
excited.
seems like
I know
she
that's
mentions
totally off topic. I'm so
the
sorry.
lore a lot, but only in like an offhand way. You know, she never explains what the lore means. You know, she keeps referencing this, like the creation of Ea, spelled EA, which is like the first song of the world.
Yep.
And there's so many little details that she just tosses off, but we don't learn anything about them.
It kind of, in a way, reminds me of Watership Down, except Watership Down gives you a lot more information. Oh my god, we should totally read Watership Down.
I'm down to do that.
Have you guys ever read Watership Down?
I saw the movie.
Oh, the movie's great. We should totally read the book.
You should also watch the Netflix series.
The Netflix series was really
there
good.
one?
There is.
Okay.
Cool. But we should totally read the book sometime, because the movie is so good and the book is so good. But I found myself doing the same thing. Like, I want to read the creation story because Ea very much reminded me of like Lord of the Rings with Iluvatar. It also reminded me of like Rhea, the partner of Kronos in Greek mythology. So I just kind of wanted to know more about the mythology of the world. So
I know, me too. I'm always hungry for those details, you know.
Right? Dan, are you talking about are you talking about Blue Bear, or are you talking about Watership Down?
I mean, I guess I say that negatively, that they really didn't build the world, but there are 7 of these books? and this is the first. So
I know there's at least 3. I know it's a trilogy, but maybe there were more. I kind of not sure. I know there's
Well,
at
There's
least 3.
6.
well,
There's
on
6.
on the back there's 6, but I
Oh,
thought someone
okay.
said there was 7.
Oh, Watership Down.
But either way, I I I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say this is just kind of touching on it, and the latter books will kind of explore more of the world, maybe open it up a little bit more. Some of the covers do look interesting on these, but go ahead.
I know that the first book though is considered like the classic novel, right?
Yeah, this was the one that yeah.
I also think that as far as Blue Bear goes, we're gonna have to kind of pick and choose as we go through it. Because it is kind of it's a pretty fat book. It's pretty long.
Noel
right?
was saying that he has some conflicting schedules, so
Well,
Yeah,
I was just
we'll
gonna
have to
say
talk about
kinda-
when we do our next session, just because some things have come up on my end, and I just wanted to.
that's
let
totally
you know.
fine.
Yeah.
Because he and I each only have the one copy because I got this for Secret Santa, Imager Secret Santa.
And I haven't ordered. I'm gonna order my copy tomorrow. I haven't done it yet.
But like sometimes when we split this up, like one of us will read and then one of us will do a little bit of audiobook and like go back. But I think this is a book where you need to really read it.
Oh, there's so many illustrations in there.
Right, there's so many illustrations and the fonts constantly change and things that I think like we both need to read them. So if there's schedule conflicts, that probably works within our favor because we can still stream every week and just do all the young dudes, and then we'll just pick back up with you, and maybe we'll just kind of pick a section where we will have read for whenever you're free.
Perfect.
Oh my god, I want to read this book so bad.
Well, we get to now.
I know. I'm so excited. Dan, Watership Down is so good. Do not deny yourself the pleasure of Watership Down.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I did enjoy it.
It's so good.
I found the movie to be pretty moving, actually.
The movie is fantastic. Actually,
yeah.
I love the animated movie. I really did enjoy the Netflix series.
Those poor rabbits.
Man,
I'm just saying.
And the thing about the
ending.
book is that you think you get a lot of world building and stuff in the movie, but then you read the book and there's just so much more in the novel than there is in the film. Like there's so many more stories and rabbit language that's expounded upon that I'm like, I want to write that book for cats. And if we ever read it, you'll understand why, I think.
It has I don't want to say Lord of the Rings vibe, but kind of, in that there's this big epic journey.
Well, there is a big epic journey, so in a sense it very much is like a hero's journey, but they're not setting out to destroy something.
Well, no. They're setting out to find something.
They're setting out to find something, but there definitely is. That's the thing about like Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Catship Down, let's go.
Hell yeah.
I did have a novel idea about lions, but I can't talk about it right now because if I let it out into the universe, it won't come true. No, rabbits. Yeah, Dan Williams. It's about rabbits.
It is rabbits, yeah.
It's
rabbits, all rabbits all day, all the time.
All the characters are rabbits. It's about rabbits that live in the English countryside, and I don't want to say anything else.
Yeah, it's hard to explain that book to anyone without giving away something.
Just rabbits. That's
rabbits.
It. That's all you need to know.
And if somebody wants me to read it for audiobook purposes, I will do that. It's so good. The rabbits even have their own language.
No, not humanoid.
No. They're not humanoid rabbits. They really are rabbits. but they communicate with each other, they speak with each other, they have thoughts and emotions, they communicate with each other in dialogue form, but they also have the rabbit language, like the Homba and El Herrera. I could tell the story of El Herrera, maybe to just
There.
entice some people into getting into the idea of Watership Down.
Do you want to tell it, or do you want to wait till we have the book? and
I
you
can
just
tell the
read it?
story if they want to hear the story. I'll tell the story. It doesn't. I don't know if it necessarily spoils anything. It's the most famous part of Watership Down.
Yeah, I feel like the less said the better, but that's just me.
All
I
right,
don't
fair.
know. I
No,
don't wanna
not
dictate.
parcel tongue, because all rabbits speak the language. It's rabbit
Well,
language.
It's, I guess, whatever snake
It's bunny
language. I
tongue.
guess
It's bunny tongue. Yeah, but all rabbits speak it, whereas
Yeah.
parcel tongue, only certain
Oh,
wizards
right.
speak parcel tongue.
yeah, but all snakes speak parcel tongue.
Right, all snakes do, but I'm okay with semi. Oh, they want to hear the
Okay.
story.
Okay,
So-
go.
All right, so I'm gonna try. So Frith. This is all the names for everything are rabbit names. So Frith, the sun, created all the animals. He created the fox and the bear and the wolf and the badger and the rabbit. And the prince of all the rabbits was El Herrera. And El Herrera had lots of offspring and just kept populating all over the place and eating all the greenery to the point where the fox and the bear and the wolf and the badger were getting pushed out. And they were struggling. And Frith saw that this was a problem. And so he sought out El Herrera to try and rein him in and take control. But he couldn't find El Herrera. And so he gave the fox and the wolf long teeth, and the bear long teeth and claws, and he gave all the predators long claws, and he gave the hawk keen sight. And all of a sudden, the hawk and the bear and the fox and the wolf and the badger started to kill all the children of El Herrera all over. It was a massacre. And it's just going on. And still Frith is looking for El Herrera. But he can't find him. And then one day, Frith sees a rabbit digging in a hole. And he says, "Have you seen El Herrera?" And the rabbit says, No, I don't know who El Herrera is, but it actually is El Herrera, but he is lying. He says, I don't know him. And Frith says, "Well, that is a pity, because I wish to bestow upon him a great gift." And El Herrera says, "Well, that's too bad. I don't know him. I've never seen him before in my life." And so Frith says, "Very well. Since I cannot find El Herrera, I will bestow the gift upon you instead." And so he gives him 3 things. Poof! He gives him a shining white tail. And then he gives him really long back feet. And then he gives him really long ears. And he says, "To you I bestow these gifts. I give you this white tail so that you can flash it and let your kin know when the enemies are near and they can all run. I give you ears so you can hear when your enemies are coming to hunt you. And I give you big flat feet so that you can thump a warning and hop away quickly. Because you are now the prince with 1,000 enemies, and everything will hunt you. You must be swift. You must be alert. You must be able to listen, because you are now the prince with 1,000 enemies. And I give you these gifts so that you may be fast and alert and a good listener. And thus that was how the first of the rabbits was born.
And that's only one of the myths that are told. The stories of El Herrera.
That is one of the
There's-
stories.
There's 3 or 4 that are told, I think, in the story.
Maybe
Which are very interesting.
there might be more than 3 or
Yeah.
4, but that's the big one. Is the story of how rabbits got their characteristics. They will hunt you, and when they catch you, they will kill you. But first, they must catch you.
Maybe Thumper is El Herrera.
It's a very good story. It is good. It's just a piece of Watership Down. So maybe we'll read it sometime.
I guess that's kind of why I get Lord of the Rings vibes, because there is this great history and mythology that backs the story.
Maybe, yeah. It's
I
hard.
forget the author, but he does a great job at world building.
Richard Adams.
Richard Adams, thank you.
And it's funny because Richard Adams started writing Watership Down as just some short stories for his children as bedtime stories, and his daughters encouraged him to keep going. And the more he told them, the more they told him to keep going, and via their encouragement, he turned it into a novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dan, I think if you give it a shot, you're gonna love it. It's such a good book. Unfortunately, we are not going to read that, though. We are going to read the 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Blue Bear, which I know nothing about, but I am very excited for.
Your choice is next, so...
Maybe we'll read Watership Down next. Maybe.
Now you do have me I want to read it again.
It's so
Yeah, you had me too. I was like, oh my god, that was so
oh
good.
man, that's good. I
But at the
compelled
same
you with
time-
the power of storytelling. Ah!
Did you guys
Thanks.
ever read the Redwall books?
I didn't, but I
Oh my
wanted
God.
to, but there were just so many of them. But I
And
would
I
like
read
to.
all of them. I mean, I own them all. It's
I know. I remember
crazy.
going to your house and seeing them all lined up on your bookshelf.
in
I do-
chronological order.
Oh, I don't have to tell me. I know.
Yeah. No, so yeah, but we
I've
were
heard
talking
they're
about
very
rabbits,
good.
and I was just thinking oh yeah, Redwall had some badass rabbits. Yeah. Anyway,
Read
sorry.
everything. That's right,
That-
Dan. Read
that's the plan.
everything. That is the plan. We want to read it all. If only we did not have to go to day jobs, then we could read it all. So to conclude, I finished Wizard of Earthsea with kind of just this is all right. It was all right. And then throughout the day, as I was thinking about things throughout the day and thinking about live streaming later, the more I thought about the end of the book, the more I was like, you know what? Damn. This was actually pretty powerful. And I feel like finally now I'm like, okay. Now I get it. Now I get what the whole deal is with this book.
Right? It kind of lags a little bit. It needs time to sink in
Yeah.
for you. You got to really think about it.
And I think that's just part and parcel with reading it for the first time as an adult and letting it absorb. And now I'm like, I am so glad I read this book.
Oh, I'm so glad you feel that way. I was hoping that this would the end part would turn things around, and I'm glad to hear it did. And
It definitely did.
It
I just
did.
kept reading this thinking there is a reason why Noelle wants to read this. There is a reason why. Noelle has good taste. What in the flip am I not getting here? And then I had to read it all and then digest it, and I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I trust his judgment. There's something I'm not getting here. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yes. Because this is Wizards on Buddhism. That's why.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much.
Yeah, it was definitely because I trusted your judgment that I kept going with it. Because after the first few chapters, if I had just like picked this up, I probably would have been like, I'll read this some other time.
Yeah.
You know,
Sarah, I
if you're talking about Watership Down, we'll probably do that as part of a future live stream. We're gonna do the Blue Bear book first, and then after that,
Whatever her pick is. Yeah.
whatever
Right.
her pick is. But right now, it's looking like Watership Down.
it may be Watership Down, and if it isn't Watership Down, then I can most certainly read it on the side and present it as kind of an audiobook format. But now I'm all jazzed, like, ooh, maybe we should read Watership Down next. I don't know. I love that book so much, and I've only read it once, and I'd love to read it again.
You only read it once?
I've only
Yeah,
read
you
it
read
once.
it once.
Oh,
You
wow.
recited it verbatim. I'm just.
Yeah,
No, I'm just.
it made an impression on me.
Oh
Ella,
my god! I
let me
love
see.
the movie.
let me see. There's
The Creation.
nope. I'm gonna name characters.
Oh.
Let's see.
Oh, pulling out the big guns.
Hazel, Fiver, Blueberry, Bigwig, Dandelion, General Woundwort, Blackbar. Oh, who's that really creepy dude in the tunnel? I can't remember.
McGregor. I'm
No,
just kidding.
there's a creepy dude in the tunnel. The creepy rabbit. I can't remember his name. Holly. Oh, Captain Holly. There's another guy. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, a lot for.
I got a lot.
That
for
was a
only-
lot. That was
a lot. Love them. Oh, and Tom the cat. And the dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, and Keeha the bird.
Oh yeah. He's a very interesting character.
What, rabbits? You need mates. You need mates. Stupid rabbits. Where are your females?
I forgot about it. He's great.
Noelle knows because he watched the movie. He
Yeah.
knows what I'm doing.
Yeah, if anyone out there watches the movie without reading the book like I did, you're gonna be like, "What?" Because that was my reaction, and now I want to see this Netflix series.
The Netflix series is really actually very good.
Yeah. It's McAvoy plays Hazel, main character.
Oh,
Yep.
say no more.
James
Yeah.
McAvoy plays Hazel, and is it Patrick Stewart plays General Woundwort?
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart plays General
Oh, there you
Woundwort.
go.
Yeah. Oh my god, Secret of Nim. What a good movie. Oh my god.
That's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Oh wow.
I haven't seen that in so
Me too.
long.
Jeez.
Wow, Secret of Nim. That's wild. Anyway,
On that note, I believe it's that time.
probably. I just did a ridiculous bird impression. I think we got it covered.
We
good.
end on that.
You need mates! Stupid rabbits!
If no one reads the book for any other reason, it's probably just to figure out what the hell you're doing.
What is that? Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. When we read it, I'm gonna do that. Yes, we will be streaming on Saturday.
Yes.
This Saturday. We will stream. We will be reading
I'm gonna post it, but we're actually doing a special 3-hour live stream because we're gonna be doing like a live comment answering section
yes.
too.
So we're gonna answer some comments live, and then we will read some All the Young Dudes real quick. Ask the question before we go.
Yep, we'll wait, Sarah.
We'll wait.
Question. But yeah, that's gonna be fun to do the live
I'm totally down to answer some comments live. We've gotten some really, really good ones lately. So
We're gonna be answering the comments, and then if anyone just has questions live, we'll
yeah, and
answer that
if
too.
anyone just wants to hop in and ask a question,
Did we decide what time? I don't know. We weren't sure
No.
whether we wanted to do an hour early or stay an hour later for the live stream.
Biggs, I seem to remember that you went to France. Do you speak French?
Yes, a little bit.
Fail, you didn't say it in French. Just kidding.
You should have said
Yeah.
oui or da yamagu gavarit pa francuski.
Well, because I used to be able to speak French.
That
very
was
well,
that was Russian.
but slowly
way.
it's been hard. I can still read French very well, but it's hard for me to actually speak it or like have a conversation with a French speaker. But yes, I do speak a bit of French.
For all of us, all of the Russian speakers out there, Jopa.
Yeah.
Это Jopa.
I should
or anything close to resembling a Russian language. Ukrainian, whatever. You guys, это Jopa. You know what I'm saying.
I should start watching some more
Very good French. No, thank you. Merci beaucoup. Sarah, I did not take French. I do not pretend to know French. I have no background in French. I can speak Russian. I can speak Spanish. French is totally alien. And I will never pretend that I can even come close.
It was very hard for me.
Oh, до свидания. Oh, Dan Williams. Добрый вечер. Which means good evening.
French is hard for an English speaker because
Здравствуйте.
we put emphasis on the ends of words.
I know.
But France, they emphasize the beginning.
French is just ridiculous.
And so the biggest issue I had was I was like mixing up words because the end of the word sounds like the beginning of the word at first. Yeah.
Я не могу говорить по-французски.
Yeah, see, she's much better with Russian.
Я не могу изучать. What is this? Well, I read Harry Potter in Russian with a dictionary translating. Helped me learn Russian. So I should go back and reread. It might help me. Français est le plus bon language. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I don't know. I've always found that we not take too much account of accentuation. So, Sarah, where are you from? I'm just curious. Where do you live? I just want to know now.
Yeah, we're in France.
Oh, super wrong pronunciation. Dan, I speak Russian and Spanish. I'm not going to pronounce French correctly. Not even close. All of my language skills are built in entirely the wrong direction. In those languages, we pronounce the vowels. All of them.
Français est le plus bon.
Lyon? Did
In
I say that
Soviet
right?
Russia, vowels
No,
pronounce you.
In Russia, vowels pronounce you. In Russia, some letters are there just to change the meaning of the word and aren't pronounced at all because what's that?
That's basically the level that I got to, was I could speak French in an understandable way.
Is that how you say it? Lyon?
Yeah.
I said a word right. Yay! I did one good French.
Very. I would like to get back into the French because I only spent like a few months in France, and then like I had no practice after that. and it's been like, God, almost 10 years now. So that's why I'm very rusty.
French capital of gastronomy. That is the place you need to go.
Oh, let's go.
I mean,
I'm totally down.
I would like to go to France just because I like to bake.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm down for some awesome food.
I love eating bread. So.
I like wine and bread.
I loved France. It's beautiful.
Oh, Dan, where'd you go in Italy? I've been to Italy. And actually, I found that Spanish helped me out a lot in Italy. Because Italian and Spanish are so similar, I could kind of speak Spanish and people would pretty much understand me for the most part. And then they'd say, Español? Sí, es español. Baguette? Croissant? Oh.
No. Croissant.
Croissant?
Croissant.
Croissant. Oh, okay.
So you just cut off.
I remember
the end of
that
every
was
word.
one of
Is
the
that
things.
How you speak French?
Huh?
Just cut off the end of every word.
Oh,
not always.
It's so hard though because the other languages I know, it's like pronounce every single piece of the word, or else everyone will look at you like an idiot. Pronounce all the words. Oh,
Yeah,
I've never
pronounced
had
myself
frog
to look
legs.
like
I
an
would like
idiot.
to try them.
You should. I like frog legs. Actually, France was the first time I had frog legs.
I've heard
They're
they're
very
good.
good.
I'm the kind of person that'll try anything once. I'll try a certain.
I know
food.
it's a cliche
well,
when
as long as it's not a baby animal. I have a thing about baby animals that I just.
I know it's a cliche when people say something tastes like chicken, but frog legs are that. They really do.
Watch
Like
this.
people get this weird idea that they're gonna be like fishy or nasty, but you really wouldn't know you're eating frog legs.
Yeah, watch this French animated movie. I don't know if you've seen it, Noelle. You might have. It's called The Triplets of Belleville, or The Triplets of.
That sounds familiar.
Hang on. Let me look it up real quick. It's called The Triplet. Wow, what are you doing?
Oh, definitely. I would love some practice with some French.
Yeah, it's called The Triplets of Belleville. Follows an elderly French woman, Madame Souza, as she becomes involved in an international intrigue when her grandson, a professional cyclist, is kidnapped and taken abroad. Joined by her faithful dog Bruno, she embarks on a journey to find him and stumbles across blah blah blah. Yeah, she knows, Sarah knows, The Triplets of Belleville. I watched it and there's a scene where they're like out in the pond and they're like catching frogs and stuff, and then they're like they're cooking them and making the frog legs and stuff. And I just remember watching the scene going, why does animated food always look so good? Doesn't matter if it's Miyazaki or nothing. I'm just like drooling over these frog legs in this movie. The Triplets of Belleville actually is a really good movie. I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. It was very good.
I saw this French movie, The Red Balloon. I thought it was really good. Have you guys seen The Red Balloon?
I've heard of that too. I think I've heard of that.
It's basically about this kid. He sees this red balloon in Paris. And he just follows it, and it's just.
I know what the movie is, but I've never watched it. Yeah,
it's
I know
really
what the movie
good. It's like one of those like there's not much to it on the surface, but it's really watchable, and it's more than the sum of its parts.
Cool. Well, look at that. You have a French speaker available.
I know. I'm gonna have to take her up on that offer.
Where's my Russian speaker? Where's
Vladimir.
Vladimir is busy.
That's true.
He's always busy, Vladimir. He's busy doing stuff.
Blue socket.
Well,
all
guys,
right.
I hate to call it.
No, we
we're
gotta
having so
we
much
gotta
fun.
call it too. We
Yeah.
gotta call it. Besides, we're gonna see you tomorrow anyway.
Pending the snowstorm, that was something I
Well,
wanted to talk to
yeah.
you about.
Fair enough.
Well, we'll play it by ear.
Let's just play it by ear. If you can't make it, you can't make it. It's weather. It's fine.
I was just gonna text you guys like, yay or nay tomorrow.
Ramona's school got canceled tomorrow, so we'll just kind of play it by ear and see what happens later in the day. If the roads are clear, the roads are clear. If they're not, they're not. It's all good. Maybe we
Cool.
can do Saturday night instead or something.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to,
Alright.
touch base on that, and I'll just send you guys a text tomorrow or message you at work tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Definitely.
Because
Yes,
I'm working.
Dan,
I'm
stay
gonna be at
warm
work until
yourself.
5:15 tomorrow, so I'll know by then for sure.
Okay. Yeah,
Alright.
definitely let us know. Just shoot me a text. I mean, we'll see if I even make it to work tomorrow.
Oh well, cool. That sounds great. I would love to not go to work tomorrow.
Right? Wouldn't
This
we
week has
all?
been hell.
Yeah.
I will say today was better than
That's good.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's
yeah.
good.
We'll do why not 1 p.m. So this Saturday at 1 p.m. will be our next live stream.
So, Sarah, 1 p.m. Eastern time will be Saturday's live stream.
And I'll actually create the live stream right after we're done with this one so that you can just set a reminder for it. Because it'll automatically switch to your time zone.
All right, well, let us bid for farewell for the evening. And Noelle, let's just
We'll see
keep
how
it
goes.
open and see what happens. And
I will,
to everyone
I'll hit you
else, good evening. We will see you on Saturday.
Everyone take care, stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe, everybody, for sure.